the effort that you have put into making sure that this bill gets into the floor of the House. And I am a proud member of this House, Madam Speaker, because earlier on, Senator Cherargei indicated that he was unable to access the documentations that we are utilizing in the House to transact the business of the House in the equipment that we have. But I would like to confirm that the reports that we are debating, the bills that we are dealing with, including the bill that I am speaking to right now, the order paper, and every other document that we are using to transact the business of the House is on this gadget. The question then would be, by introducing this new gadget, we have minimized on the use of papers, we have minimized and reduced on the cost of printing the papers, and of course, by extension, the waste that comes along with it has been minimized. And therefore, the bill Senator Tobiko is bringing before this House is a timely one. It seeks to answer so many questions. And Madam Speaker, I have gone through a bit of the record, and I have got some quite glaring statistics on the e-waste currently in Kenya. Madam Speaker, record has it that in the year 2025, e-waste, we had 53,559 metric tons of e-waste. These 53,000 metric tons of e-waste is largely contributed by, among others, household small items like fridges, like toasters, and this gives us 19,000 metric tons. Laptops, tablets, phones, among other such gadgets contribute around 5.7 thousand metric tons of e-waste. Besides those specifics which you have mentioned, Madam Speaker, the conversation around disposal of electronic equipment is something that is global for now. It is global because there is a lot of proliferation of counterfeit products. For instance, in terms of the laptops, phones, and such related, there is a lot of such a counterfeit in the market. And there is also a lot of informal sector players in the electronic recycling environment. It therefore means that we need a law that speaks to the current situation that we have, both in the country and also in the region as well as globally. And therefore, the bill that has been sponsored by Senator Tobiko, by speaking to the hierarchy of disposal of facilities, all the way from the ward level to the county level, and now the national level, has developed a system that is cognizant of the fact that we are now in this country at a level where every household, from the lowest representation in the village, at least has got an electronic equipment, whether in form of a television set or in form of a radio or even any other household equipment, we have them. And therefore, for us to be able to manage, we must start from that lowest level, and the creation of hierarchy in this bill is a welcome move, and I would like to appreciate Senator Tobiko for doing that. The bill, Madam Speaker, now going to specific provisions. When you look at the provisions of Clause 3, that gives us the objectives of the bill. Madam Speaker, the bill seeks to create a sustainable environment that is compliant with mechanisms in terms of disposal, recycling, and reuse of electronic equipment. That objective can only be met if we have a representation from the county where we are able to collect at the ward level, we collect at the county level, we dispose or we reuse at a collection center based at the county or at the national level. And those particular provisions have been provided for. The creation of the role of the cabinet secretary in collaboration with the CC in the county of a relevant committee in Clause 7, Clause 8, and Clause 9 Madam Speaker, speaks to a creation of a conveyor sort of belt system where if we are collecting at a certain level in the ward, we are equally collecting at the certain level in the county, we are recycling at a centralized point in the national government, and that has been provided for. Clause 7 provides for the CC in the relevant county. Clause 8 provides for, Clause 9, sorry, provides for the process of licensing. And this is one of which I wanted to make a proposal to the sponsor of the bill, Senator Perez Tobiko, where Clause 9 requires the CC alone to sit on an application for purposes of an e-waste collector in the county to be licensed. I want to propose, Senator Tobiko, that instead of having the CEC to sit alone and make a decision as to whether to grant a license to an applicant or not, in most cases is a little bit unjust and unfair. I would propose that you create a provision that will require a committee to be set so that we become objective whenever an application has been put in by a member of the public who wants to, create a collection center. That proposal will similarly affect the mandate of the CS under Clause 10 for the CS to sit on an application by an e-waste recycler seeking to get a permit or a license. We also propose to amend the clause to develop or to establish a committee that will sit under the supervision of the CEC at the county level and the CS at the national level, so that we have an objective assessment of an application for a collector and a recycler respectively. But the important provision which I must speak to, of course, is the global requirement that this bill is seeking to restrict the importation by ensuring that those who are licensed are under an obligation on what you have termed as in the bill extended producer responsibility, so that a producer or an importer is under an obligation to make sure that the producer manages the whole cycle from production, sale, disposal, or reuse. That way, we will be able to manage that cycle so that we avoid a break in terms of obligation on those players within the sector. The creation of the licenses and the establishment of an e-waste plant at the national level is a very, very important provision in the bill, and I support that. However, I would also then make a proposal for your considerations in the Tobiko that as we establish an e-waste plant, we maybe make it a regional based, because a county like Nairobi can only, you can imagine the extent of the waste that we are dealing with in Nairobi County, such that we do not limit to the national e-waste plant only. We can have it at respective counties. For those counties that are able to establish, they can establish. Let the law provide for a county-based e-waste plant so that we open up for counties that are willing to do that. I say so because, Madam Speaker, in the county I represent, Bomet, we have the affordable housing plant that is built. Next to it is a waste management site, which the county governments completely failed to deal with it. And by extension, it means that even though the houses are ready for occupation, we cannot commission them. We cannot hand them over. Why? Because there has been a failure on the part of such a county government to manage the waste. Whether that waste has been classified as degradable or the e-waste is a different story, because when you look at largely such waste, it is affecting, well, Madam Speaker, I see you rising. I'll stop at that.
Honorable Senators, it's now 6:30 p.m. Time to adjourn the Senate. Upon resumption of debate on this motion, Senator Wakili Sigei will have a balance of 10 minutes to conclude his contribution to this motion. The Senate therefore stands adjourned until tomorrow, Thursday, 19th February 2026 at 2:30 p.m. Thank you.
My work is easy because I use ClickUp. Here's how I keep track of all my tasks. I start by brain dumping everything I need to get done in a list view. Next, I set a priority and a due date to keep things on track.